right, we are finally live. My apology for the lateness. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we are back with the one, the only, the amazing Mr. AlienCarvings.com. That is Mike Forrest, my man, my friend. The mysteries of Mexican parts. Are they Anunnaki, Nephilim, gray aliens, disc UFOs? Archetypes of the ancients? It seems a little bit of all of the above.
Yeah, it might all be connected for sure, which would be logical, with how many religions and how many different cultures that we have, to have some sort of framework connecting it would be logical, I think.
Right, and it just, the evidence keeps stacking up, and that I remember the first time many years ago, over maybe 2 decades now, probably 15 years, on Facebook, someone made a post about the Anunnaki, and I was like triggered. I was like, you're an idiot, blah, 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 just raging out. And it's like, yeah, but the more as time goes on, the more you research it, you actually look into it, and the evidence just keeps stacking up no matter where you dig around the world. And it's an uncomfortable truth, but it's the truth. And you're doing the work, putting up the money to find it, to figure it out. And what are your latest updates, good sir?
It's been wild. We got a bunch of carbon dates back here a couple weeks ago, and the results were astonishing. We sent out a couple pieces from Tula Hidalgo that were pieces of like the geopolymer, something like this. This isn't a carved stone. This is actually a piece of like ceramic almost, right? So because it's that and it's not fired in a kiln, it's dried with the room temperature or something like that. It leaves these pockets of carbon and oxygen. In fact, the stone is comprised of like 50%. Well, I shouldn't call it a stone, but the geopolymer is comprised of about 50% oxygen and large pockets of carbon. And yeah, it's put together in a really layered fashion, almost like you would see if like we were to take a polymer and a 3D printer and then examine this layering technique. Obviously, this is much more sloppy and primitive, but along the same type of concepts and terms. And it's like a stacking of engineered principle or a purpose. It's not just a earthly done thing where it's an igneous or metamorphic rock or whatever. It's not along those lines whatsoever, especially with what's in it. So we carbon dated those, and those dates came back like 37 to 40,000 years old, which
That's
to me, that's the upper echelon of where carbon dating is, and it could be a fluke. It could just be that it's dating this, and there's too much dead carbon inside of it because there's crushed up limestone and calcite, and it's too hard to distinguish the carbons from the process of making it from the carbons from the stones used to create the mixture, right? So then we also sent this, and I've got it here actually. We sent this ring, and this is one of 3 that held this. It's a metal book together. It's bronze, and there's a black substance. I'll try to show it the best I can there. But that black substance is a resin. We tested it at the scanning electron microscope level, broke it down what was in there. There was no, modern synthetics or anything like that. So we felt confident because of the high carbon content of that we should be able to get a date. And what's crazy is the date, and this is from Guerrero, this ring in this book. Iconography and the artwork is completely different. It's along the same storylines, but definitely a different vibe to it. And so, yeah, nonetheless, the date came back like 37,000 years old on the book resin, which was super consistent with the pieces and the polymer. So now, obviously still not enough to be like, yeah, this stuff's 40,000 years old, but there's good evidence that it's of antiquity. And to get those dates so similar together, is very interesting. You know, that's something that you couldn't just it wouldn't be very easy to fraudulently do that and hit consistently at those eras, because there's nothing really that you can go out there and find that's that old. There's stuff that's 12,000, 15,000, like woolly mammoth tusks and things like that that you could dope results with. But the fact that it hit here, not at the complete high spectrum and not at the too too modern or whatever, which can happen a lot of times with dope samples. So going back older is not necessarily usually common unless you're dating with dead carbon, and oftentimes that's really old. But in this case, we have to distinguish it. So there's some other types of testing that we're going to do that'll carbon date, and it'll take those carbon samples out methodically, and it'll put them into graphene, and once they're in a graphene sample, then they can be dated more accurately. So we just need to get more of an average, but it's pretty crazy. There's been probably 30 dates or so that are over 10,000 years old, from different people. There's a new organization over in Italy that is comprised of anthropologists and archaeologists and extremely credible people who are passionate about bringing this topic to the light. They absolutely have every reason to believe it's genuine. They just threw their very first symposium, and it's wonderful to see. It's called the Aslan Stones Project over there, and it's interesting because the SAR scans and the group that's doing a lot of the research pushing Giza into the future is also from Italy. So um, there's something in the
Right.
water over there.
Yeah, like there's an actual cultural, societal, academic shift that they're finally starting to accept the results they're finding, realizing that they're not fake, and actually putting more science into it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what we just all have to do, that because we have now the science fairly reasonably priced, and we also have AI, which can keep the PhDs honest, and it's not like it's perfect, but it can give you a reason to bring up an interjection and ask for a show me your work here please, type of questions that maybe would have skipped people's minds before, because the AI can look through certain scans like a scanning electron microscope scan, and it saw that this was engineered in ways that were not consistent with the earth very easily. So things like that, and then going through and looking at it in multiple angles because of those words of advice is, I think, really valuable. I'm trying to understand the complex nature of how the heck they did this.
Right, and it's not a modern process. It's above our current technology or understanding that we're just starting to crack, or just cracking, or
I say some of it with the geopolymer is absolutely something that I think we could. So I've been doing quite a bit of research on this, and there's a type of material from Egypt that was commonly used for statues and things, smaller statues. It's called or fe, face or filice or something like that. It starts with an F.
oh, I
I
know
can't
the
remember.
one.
It's like the
It's so
bluish
hard.
looking stuff.
Yeah,
What is it? Yeah.
I'm struggling too. It's on the tip of my tongue. Ah,
Ferris, I think. Ferris. I think it's Ferris. Anyways, um, that material is a geopolymer. So the Egyptians had this technique. And I saw a piece of this in the museum, and I'm like, holy cow, that's the same stuff that we're looking at here almost, except theirs is blue, this is orange. And but clearly, if you were making this as a liquid, you could make it whatever color you wanted. So it's more of the material and how they were making it. Their stuff over there, I believe, was fired, and this I don't think was. So
right. It's the deeper down we go, the more advanced the stonework, the size of the megalithics, and the technology used. And that, yeah, so there is some no, schist is something else. It's, oh god, it's gonna drive me nuts. A
I believe it's
type of,
ferrous. Yeah,
okay, then that'd be iron heavy, because ferrites, maybe, I'm not sure.
possibly.
Anywho,
Yeah.
there's many types. We're figuring it out. It's more the what's the probability of it being a geopolymer, a different created stone mixture. It's almost 100% now. It's that, like you're saying, the AI goes through the images through the microscope that you're taking and analyzes, just like the humans, both coming back conclusively it's not natural mixtures. And it's like could be from outer space potentially, or like off planet maybe, but more likely it's something that was made on ours a very long time ago. But like with the carbon dating being so old of 40,000 years, that could potentially also be that skewing the results of the carbon tests if it wasn't from this planet or artificially made.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the most accurate thing, but it definitely says that it's probably not made recently, which is good. To get those dates all similar like that is I mean, if we get another 30 hits in that range, from we've got bones and other things as well. So, you hit a bone in there at that range too. Um, I'd definitely be pretty hard struck to say that it wouldn't be probably close to that. We go down through three ground floors when digging at certain sites. Some of it's down 30, 40 centimeters, some of it's down 5 feet, 10 feet, and up to like 20 feet deep. And as you go down further, there's multiple ground floors. And so how those ground floors got the way they are, it could be the volcanic activity in the area. There is a lot of volcanic ash in between these floors. But it could also be, set resets and things like that as well. Like there's definitely enough
Floods, the clay layers,
geological history, I think, to be that old, you know.
right? And that on the bottomest floor, like the third level down, that's where they were finding carvings into the actual bedrock and in the caves that these artifacts are being dug out of, correct?
Bingo. Yeah. Yep. And that's, I think, a pretty good measure too, is we're not finding a lot of this buildings and things like that on the surface. Now there's a lake over there, at a different site that I just got word of, and there's islands and things that supposedly have buildings and 20-ton statues and just crazy things. Now I haven't seen or verified any of this myself yet. This is all just from yesterday. So but
Brand new.
that being said, with what I've seen already, I wouldn't put it past it at this point. Like there is probably that sort of civilization somewhere underneath us, and they might have found it.
Well, and it seems it's being found all over the world at once, down in Peru, Malta, uh, Turkey, um, everywhere in the Mediterranean, pretty much. And
China,
through,
that
right,
million year
yeah,
old skull or whatever. I mean, gosh, I don't think it was that old. Was it 100,000 years or no? It was a million, I think, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was a million.
Gosh,
It was a million,
yeah,
yeah. Then they keep
yeah.
coming out with more.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. There's definitely, with the King's List and how detailed that is, definitely stuff was going on here for some time probably, even with just the Neanderthal and other fossil records from the other um, erect species. I think that's definitely a sign. It's just interesting, to know how long it took for intelligence to evolve. And then, like you said earlier, how some of these sites, you go down deeper in the site and the technology was greater, the older it is. And I think that might be a sign that, at some point it got too strong or technology got too advanced. And in the Anunnaki story, that's exactly what they say happened. The Ajiji got too advanced and revolted against them, and that might be what set it back and turned the, you know, turned the
right?
tide, the war there or whatever.
the more legends seem to actually be true history, and even in the holy books talking about the oh god, Tower of Babel and the language and being the one world language of pre-Babel, and that the fall of man once, because we reached God's level of technology, right? That we were reaching the equal level of God and the demigods. It
Yes.
correlates all in one.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, I think what we're seeing and why we see the languages in dispersed in the way they are, and also familiar to what we see. There's the one language that are the pieces in Awelos, which um, they seem more new, and it's such a vast language. There's like 10,000 different symbols, and the carbon dates there are between 8 and 20,000 years old. So to see that this stuff would be 30 to 40,000 years old or whatever, that puts a kink in my theory that that was the one language system, because the language in Tula is very primitive in terms of it's the most proto hieroglyphic slash Egyptian or Sumerian cuneiform that you could imagine in terms of trying to translate it. But yet, you go to the Waylo stuff, and I mean, it is deep. There's books with thousands of symbols inside of them.
Right, and there's so much of the proto language. And how's the work with creating an AI like library or system, and comparing it, running it against, for say, like all the tablets and proto languages that were found on the Crespi collection?
The Crespi collection wasn't documented that well, to my knowledge, in comparison to the languages and being able to get high resolution, pictures for the AI. I found some, but it's kind of tough. I mean, it's not something that there's a museum for it or nothing. They came and took it all. So the documentation it's not great, not great at all. I'm sure
Yeah,
compared to what there was, you know what I mean? I mean, we see a few pieces. There's also pieces like that big Magna something that's the bath or the big bowl from
the
Bolivia,
Carter,
Pumapunku. That's what I wanted to say, but I know it's not
right?
that. It's uh,
Yeah, the
I know, huh? I'm so
Magnus
sorry.
up right from off the coast of Lake Titicaca by a pyramid on the farmer's
Yes,
field, and that he had like some barnyard animals drinking out of it or something, and like a
yes,
archaeologist or someone up there exploring was like, "Oh my God, that's Proto-Sumerian. That's
yes.
uh, yeah, just it's wild and it's everywhere, and it just more and more evidence of it." And I'm going to bring up your thoughts. Have you ever seen these guys? There was videos supposedly from Iraq or Iran in the
Oh
early
yeah,
2000s, and
yep.
just
Gilgamesh's tomb. Yeah,
and there's a couple of them, right? Like, because there's this guy
there, there is. Yeah,
and that guy, and they perfectly preserved. And there's also the cuneiform or proto cuneiform. Yeah, that's proto cuneiform there. More
it's
of it.
something. The fish
Similar.
symbol's more interesting to me. In this case, especially, the way the eyes are also very odd. If they were to do I mean, I don't
Right? Is
know.
it coins or possibly gemstones put on top?
Well, if you
Uh,
look at a lot of those pictures of the eyes, they were very interesting. They definitely weren't like our eyes in any of the depictions.
yeah. And what really fascinates me is you can see that it's actually completely gold. It's all encased in gold. And then you have this gold box thing. Like that looks almost computer or electric or something potentially. And completely in the gold. And oops, sorry, wrong way. Here we go. So like these complete gold objects, and so there we go. So
That's a good
this
shot.
tomb.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's a chest. There's the other guy, very similar style to some of the artifacts that they're
Yep.
digging up
And I
around
think that's
here.
really important to show that right there, that picture up there, to do all that for this hoax is like, I mean, that's fairly complex work right there.
With a lot of gold, and I wish it could get higher resolution because it looks like that's language inscripted and carved in right on these
Could be.
the gold.
There's a
Uh,
video of it out there. I saw it a couple times. That's actually pretty
yeah,
valuable.
that's where
And it
these
was
screen
before
captures.
AI. So we know that either someone had to create this as a model, or it was a real thing. And we also know that there's certain email rumors and things that they found in Podesta's emails, I believe it was, through the wiki leaks from Hillary Clinton, that there was talk of this Gilgamesh's ascension chamber and things like that. And within a certain period of time after this was announced on the news that they found this over there, it was an immediate war zone. Like we went in like 5 days later, I think it was.
Right? Like, was it
And
weapons of mass destruction that were ancient, not
right. And they found nothing, right? So that's really interesting. They had enough intel to go invade a country. They invade with tanks and shit on the ground, right? They didn't care about the government. They just wanted to control what seems like the archaeological sites. And if you look at the bomb plans from that Gulf War, you'll see that they bombed like 160 archaeological zones.
right? And one of the first place they went and raided was the Baghdad Museum of History, I believe.
Yeah, you're totally right.
They went
Yeah,
and
no,
they went and secured it, I believe, was like
yep.
the first.
So the
Okay.
fact that we see stargates and we have technology and crystal light bulbs and stuff coming out of the ground, there's talk of Tartaria, which is an interesting concept too to think about. Maybe was this the Agigi's advanced civilization? And the fact that we're seeing these 40,000-year-old
Right?
dates, like could that be similar era to them? Also being depicted here, and that might be why we have those type of things being found over in Russia and stuff as well. There's a Tula.
Exactly.
There's a
And what
Tula in
got
Russia too.
the survivors?
Yeah,
Sorry, say again.
I said there's a Tula in
A,
Russia as well,
a two.
like the city.
Really? That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
And that a lot of the Tartarian area on the ancient maps is northeastern Siberia, right? The Asian part, the Arctic Asian part of Russia that they try to tell us was uninhabited, yet that's where the maps all say and state and show where Tartaria was,
I
and that
think it
they have these.
spanned all the way to like Turkmenistan and stuff over there as well.
Exactly. That's actually a very key part that I
Yeah,
always try to bring up is that the Tartars they went into the Uyghurs. So the Uyghur in China, that's a remaining part of their ethnicity. They still actually speak
yeah,
the Tartar language there. There's still some of the indigenous ethnic Tartars in Crimea on the Black Sea, and it goes back to Turkey, and that the Tartars were as an Islamic faith, right? That was part of who they were, and that's left out a lot
hmm
in modern YouTube Tartaria investigations.
yeah. Well, it's definitely, I think, it very well could be connected. The fact that in China there's these vocational schools that they brought into the spotlight here. Gosh, I think it's been probably 5 or 6 years ago. Don't hear about it nowadays, but there was these vocational schools that were taking these people and putting them through like a rehabilitation in their belief systems, and so it's interesting to know maybe they have this secret information. And then you also think about they're after Taiwan like hot and heavy. They want this back, and there is some strategical assets there with the canal or the channel or whatever that goes between there and China. But if you go back in the history when Taiwan was founded, they took all the Forbidden City relics out of China to Taiwan. So that
True.
that stuff is there still, and there could be stuff that would implicate this disclosure. If they're going to try to do some sort of blue beam to us, all the proof would need to be under control, or known as whatever. Because if that would come out, it would obviously put whatever they're trying to do in jeopardy, I guess.
Right, and like there's a lot of rumors that it was in fact Putin who released the original maps with showing Tartaria and as well as Antarctica, Australia, and whatnot to the public. And then if the Chinese or the Taiwanese still have all of these artifacts, again, showing them in specifically relating to the pyramids that are all over mainland China, as well as Taiwan, as
Cambodia.
well as Korea, Cambodia, Japan,
At
everywhere.
least off the coast of Japan, there's temples and things in the
Yanaguni.
water there, the Mu stuff. Yeah, that whole South Pacific and Mu, clearly all this had to happen. And so these three resets or these multiple reset ideas, I think, is really becoming a lot more logical, especially what we're seeing in the historical record, even just with the Indian Vedas and the Mahabharata and things like that. They go, you know it seems like it's older because it talks about these wars and vehicles in the sky, like Vimanas and things that would definitely fit right in with the level of technology of Tartaria or what we're seeing in Mexico.
Exactly, and it's everywhere. It's just so prevalent.
Yeah,
Um, Trying to pull up your website, alienartifacts.com.
alien carvings. Yeah.
Carvings. That's why it's not popping up. God, my
Now you got a
apologies.
now you got a packet sniffer that's going to hack your system. Don't put your banking info in there.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm
Uh-oh.
just kidding. It's how it works, though, man. You put in the wrong website and it's over.
For sure. Well, it wouldn't let me load it, so
Oh, that's good.
yay,
Yeah.
Google protected. All right. So we'll what? Oh, accept your cookies. Okay. There we go. I accepted your cookies, so hopefully no packet sniffers in there. Uh,
Yeah.
but your
I got
laboratory
like Sunset
results.
Sherbet and like gelato. You're talking about cookies?
Yeah, yeah, right. The website
Yeah.
cookies. Delicious. So going back, so you had the new carbon dating results, but you also have done several throughout, and that here you're showing. So you haven't updated with the latest ones, but you
Yeah, I
have
haven't put that
others
up there yet.
showing in the many thousands of years,
Yeah, that's like
and
20,000 almost, I think, on that piece. There's some really interesting ones down below that I did just add. If you keep going down a little bit, you'll see a
oh, here we
section
go.
here.
Yeah,
This is a mask from Arizona, a couple that they did back, I think it was back 2019 or so. Arizona did probably 25, 30 different dates off of different pieces and got just astonishing results across the board.
right. So it's been going on for a while, and
Yeah.
it it has yet to be debunked in any matter. Every time they get tested, it's just ancient all over, and that you're not the only one that has been doing it, and
Yeah.
you're just taking it to the next level, really.
Everybody just keeps saying, well, we want peer reviews. We want, mainstream scientists to agree with this, obviously. And as do I, right? But at what point is it clear that this is something that is logical? And I think we're getting to the point where so much has been taken out of the ground in the last 6 months. The amount of man hours to produce just the pieces in those six discoveries this year from May until now. Um, what would be like multiple years of like a team of 8 to 10 people, the pre-burial just to carve them, and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of geopolymer, or significant amounts of diamond tip tooling to be able to do that many, because you got to think about they're tattooing all the surface as well. So you have someone, if it's geopolymer, that's got to be symbolically correct between all this ancient culture. We have to have them be masters and have all this one of one original artwork. You got to have a sculptor. You got to have a carver. You've got to have someone that's a master of the alchemy that knows I need to put this much of this and this much of this into there so it can hold up this 250-pound piece or whatever. It's they were masters on so many levels. And to keep that quality consistent, looking like a single artist, that's blasphemy in you know, to try to do a shop like that. And I worked in the glass industry a little bit, making bongs and things, just because I had a cannabis company, and so I was around that environment pretty heavily. And I know, to get a group of guys together to make a consistent looking proto, it's hard. I mean, it's tough work, and it's small batch things. Like, it's not 20,000 pieces that we've documented in the last 5 years. You do the math on 20,000 pieces here, and it's way too many people's lifetimes to be realistic with the situation.
Right, and that they're all like you're saying, one-offs. That you're not finding
And they're
uh
perfect.
yeah, you're not finding two of a kind anywhere. They're all
Yeah.
originals, every single one. So to have to, if they were fakes, the amount of like money and to have to make single use what's where the forms or whatever for them, it's not plausible. It doesn't make sense. Like, it wouldn't be economically feasible.
There is no
Like,
molds that are
the
possible
mold.
here. I mean, there's complex magnetics. There's the glow in the dark. That's the other thing too. Someone to inlay this with all of the you know, because it's not just painted on or whatnot. This is fused in to the stone. It's fused onto the stone or the crystal, on tons of different types of crystal, calcite. I'll get the light here and show you. Um, just
Please do.
because I think it's really a relevant thing, because it's very time consuming to get all the cracks and crevices of these types of things to make it look like that in the dark. Um, Definitely a level of
Like,
love there.
it's infused into the geopolymer or the ceramics, the crystal itself. It's
It's bonded
not just,
on, like
yeah,
like
bond.
yeah, and it's not done with high heat either, because this is a phosphor based strontium powder or material, and so it would be damaged if it was heated up. It would no longer glow.
Right, exactly. And um you said you've obviously you have found some that are modern fakes, but it shows, right, that they're
Oh yeah.
completely different. Do you happen to have one on hand to show a comparison? Because I remember last time it was like just the glow itself, you could see how ridiculously less
I gotta
advanced
think.
it was.
I'm trying to think if I do. Let me turn the light back on here and see. Um, Man, I don't know if I do. To be honest with you, I
Fair enough. I would throw them away too.
yeah, no, I mean, I still have a couple just for reference. But yeah, I don't have any in the room. I've got just too many pieces in general, so I try to keep it.
Fair, right?
fairly good looking. Yeah, I don't think that when I got this piece, for instance, I thought this might be a fake. He gave me this as a gift. It's just a real basic piece of stone, I thought. Um, However, fast forward, this is geopolymer. This white in here will glow like a sieve, and so at this point, I don't think it is. And we will actually be able to date that geopolymer now as well, as long as the method shows to be true to what it is. We got to get more of an average there, but it's you know it's a good thing. This is like a cowbell, and there's a lot of depictions of cows.
Almost like in India where
Yeah,
they were divinating.
well, or Egypt. They even
Yeah,
mummified them in
yeah,
Egypt.
true.
This
That's
thing's
pretty interesting
ridiculous.
piece.
It's huge. And then, let me grab this light right here.
Looking very Egyptian like. Oh wow.
You can see it really lights up if you get it just right.
That's so cool. It's just
Yeah, and that's onyx. Since
right, like not cheap combinations or
well,
many.
to do onyx like that here, I'm gonna turn this light on so you can see it better. Maybe here.
Oh yeah.
Weird. Okay, it's not. It's creating a line or something, but nonetheless, this is carved in a reverse fashion. Like this is like almost sandblasted in these voided areas, so you can
Really?
clearly make out the carvings, and I guess where it's not carved, to see these images. So
That's wild.
yeah, how they did that exactly is still something of question. Like I say, it could have been sandblasted,
Really?
but if it was, to do that type of design work on onyx, never seen it. You'll see this thing lights up. Um, there's no cords going into this. It's
Huh? What?
got like copper electrodes in there. Let me turn the big light on here. Actually, here, I'll put it on there so you can see it at nighttime.
That what in the
Yeah, so
that needs to be
literally,
x-rayed.
I have no idea how that's even possible.
Like and see how something like that would make indigenous peoples with no technology think you got magic, essentially. That's
That's
insane,
borderline magic for me, and I'm not indigenous or
right?
ancient. I got an iPhone, man. Like that's still wild. I don't get it. There's clearly nothing. Oops, sorry, it's backwards. There's nothing inside of this. It just has and all of them have some sort of open thing.
Oh,
So I don't know
right.
if there's maybe a ring of magnetic in there. I still got to do some testing with the CT scan. We need
Yeah,
to find a big CT scanner that will get it in there. I need to work with like an imaging center, hopefully, and um,
100%. That needs to be CT scanned and see what's in it. And right there, it's like you'll either see modern batteries and circuitry or some sort of ancient technology and instantly verify.
so it definitely has like some electromagnetic vibe to it for sure. I just don't
Can
know
you
enough
run it
about it
once
to
you have
say.
the? Can you put the skull back on it and then run it again? See if it
Oh, sure.
increases the field size strength.
Yeah, that's a good call. Just like some electricity going through the
Right?
might be less now.
Might be less.
Yeah, which that might make sense too if it's using the energy.
Using it.
Yeah, interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Practice.
there's multiple devices. There's four of them now. Um, they vary in how they work, and I think that it's definitely magnetic based. There's been stress tests done. 14 days, it'll light that thing up, no problem. Enough to where we were like, okay, I don't think it's gonna die. I mean, it's this
Really?
old already. You know what I mean?
You should almost just have a live stream of it going
I,
indefinitely,
I'll
right?
tell
Like,
you what, man. Once we know how it works, and I don't need to
fair,
be like, yeah,
fair.
this is a real thing
Give it a
anymore.
run out.
We get a couple more of them. Yeah, we'll play around for sure. I want to know, you know.
Absolutely. That's just mind bending. And wow, just wow.
Yeah. Yep, it's really something. We tested this watch here um, down in California when we went down to the lab, and you can see on the top of this, it's a magnet, and this is actually a dial that goes inside of this. It comes out. It's magnetic as well.
Sundial. So it's an actual ancient watch.
Yeah, but the
And they're all magnetic.
yeah, and it's just it's an iron ore you can see in there, and somehow though they had the
Dang.
ability to make it magnetic. There's certain pieces that we have that the polarity is very very specific. The top of this egg right here also has a magnet.
What? That's so wild.
Yeah, so it's we're learning. That's for sure. Definitely compared to a year ago, I saw this thing. It was a year anniversary on this video I made, and I just couldn't believe how much we've learned in the last year. It's crazy.
Right? And since we even since well, I guess we've been doing this a couple years now.
Few years
A
actually.
few. Wow. Well, we're almost at 30 interviews together. So
Yeah.
uh, I guess so. But yeah, and like there's been so many different discoveries that have happened and so much we've learned of it. For those that are unaware, do you want to maybe go into a bit of the ones that had the petrified grass seeds in them?
Yeah. Yeah. In the lab in California, a gentleman came named Mark Sims, and he's researched and gone into these pieces pretty deeply for a long time, like a decade. And him and Nassim Harriman and quite a few of these guys, Klaus Dona, Scott Woltar. There's a lot of people who have really got into this. Um, at some point in their careers. Did they come out with finalized data or pursue it? I haven't seen anything from any of these people recently. However, I've talked to some and people who are involved, and they're all still actively interested in this topic. So it's not like it's a dead thing. And but nonetheless, Mark cut. There's these pieces. I can show an example here. I believe, yeah, right here actually. There's this. The style of art from Abuelo Stilisco, and it's glued with this red glue, and these are different pieces of stone. So they backed it with this green stone and then glued this together. Well, for instance, if we were to take this and cut it down the line right here with a saw, that's what they did to this disc. And inside of the disc there was like a you can wear this disc as a pendant, and so there's a thing that's drilled into the top of it. Well, as this thing had sat in the ground, likely water piled up inside of this bale and worked its way down through inside of the piece. And the Mayans and different cultures would put seeds in as like offerings and inside of their pieces. They do gold and other things as well. We found gold too inside of these mosaics, but the seed had germinated from the water getting to it. and had sprouted out a sprout, and it fossilized inside of this piece. There's a video on our YouTube about it if you look it up, and it clearly shows this mineralized, fossilized, crystallized, whatever you want to interpret it as, but clearly a full-on, fossil of this thing growing inside of the stone, which is wild because the path the water had to take to get inside of this thing, it almost looks like the Grand Canyon. Like it had to really push through geopolymer to get there, and then let alone there's no light inside of it, and this is a pipe. I
Right.
saw the question there. I'm just using it as an example of the one that they cut in half, which was a disc. So
Yeah, and it's like that the actual root formed and then died and then petrified within it is just, it's so wild. Trying to bring up your channel right now to find it in the
and it
videos.
wasn't there wasn't the only time either. There was another one right around the same era that Customs got a hold of, and on the forehead was a large inlay. Like they cut another piece of stone and put it in for like their sacred eye or something of that nature. Well, Customs got it, and they must have saw something in there, so they cut this thing out with a looked like a hacksaw or something. I mean, totally destroyed the piece. But inside of this thing was a seed. I mean, completely, like there's no way it could have not been a. Yeah, here it is, right here. Yep.
Right, and so this was a guy that bought an artifact off of you to test it himself,
He
cut it
didn't buy it
open.
off of me,
Oh,
but
bought it
he's a
off someone else.
collector.
Fair
Yeah, yeah,
enough,
yeah. He
right?
brought it from home. Yep.
And goes through, cuts it, and then when finally gets it open,
Yeah.
right here,
Yeah, if
yeah.
you stop that, you can see. So there's the bale up there at the top, and it it worked its way down through all the way down to the bottom where the seed is there.
Oh, I wish it would let me go enlarge
There's
it
another.
for some
Oh
reason.
yeah, just frame by frame or something.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's a
Here's
good
up
shot
close.
there.
Yeah, I guess for some reason, maybe it was. I'm not sure why it's not letting me go full screen.
Oh, full screen.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right,
Yeah.
figured it out. So yeah, here you can see where the seed is, and then you can see the root where it goes through there. It goes down here, splinters a little bit each way, possible mold, and that it's
Oh no,
completely
check it out. It's
petrified.
definitely mold. The next frame or
Yeah,
two frames over, you'll see another high resolution of it in there. Oh, there's this one
right.
too.
So
This
there's
isn't the one
another
I'm
one of
talking
it.
about.
Yes, the mold, a little bit of mold. Yeah, all mold through there as it dies,
Yeah.
mold through there as it dies. The root comes through there, and oops, looking for the right frame.
Yeah, I think it's a little further after this. Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh, there it is. That's the one.
this one.
Yeah, that's the mineralization and caused from mold. The blue is brought forth by the mold and the crystallization, which takes
And
like thousands of years to occur. Like this isn't just something that can happen rapidly. Like you can't expedite this process,
right, like
which gives
especially
pretty much like guaranteed antiquity to this piece. I mean, there's the carvings on the face of it. Someone could argue that the mosaic itself was made in ancient times, but the carvings were put on modernly. Obviously, there's an excuse for everything that someone could try to argue it with, but um, the law of average, I think, really will play the nail in the coffin at some point, or the large
exactly.
civilization, the big statues and the buildings and stuff, which it sounds like they
And
may
then
have
so
documented.
is was this the second
That's
seed from the
no,
other
that's the
artifact?
first one. That's
That's the
that's
one
the
we pulled
removed
out of it.
hole. Yes,
Wow.
yes. And what's interesting is AI couldn't determine out of it could narrow it down to three different seeds, and all three of them predated the Spanish coming, and they were like landrace seeds from before the Spanish. Because when the Spanish came, it changed all their grains, and you know, a lot of the old ones were no longer utilized in the grass specifically.
Right. So AI verified ancient seed species.
Yeah, it's
One
an
of
ancient
three.
grass
One
seed,
of
one
three.
of three. Yeah.
Right. Like there's just
There's
no
the other
one would
one. There's the
go.
other one there that they took that cross out of the forehead. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was customs. Took the cross out of the artifact. Um, either because
You can see. Yeah.
they scanned it probably and were either like there's someone smuggling a seed in, potentially thinking maybe it was parasitic, or they didn't scan it and they thought it was just some fake thing trying to smuggle something else
Drugs or
potentially.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have been full of something that could have been there. Yeah. So, but
Right.
the piece was
Something.
definitely not broken in vain. I mean, to see that type of, you know, tributes or that type of offerings to be given inside of these projects is exactly what you would want to see. There might be some carbon dating available from those seeds too in the future for sure.
Just amazing. And another pieces of evidence of how every test, everything, it just keeps coming up ancient. So
Yeah.
either the world's absolute largest ongoing hoax that would be costing probably hundreds of millions at this point to be able to get all of that together to fake it, or just ancient stuff.
22,000 pieces. You know, I mean, we're talking serious effort regardless, and many years in preparation. They would have had to have started this with a team of hundreds of people back in the 90s to even justify trying. And
Yeah.
that's if they could get the good enough artisans to create the consistent, because here's the thing, you could hire a bunch of people, but are they going to be able to mimic each other's work exactly to the point of being able to tattoo a piece into relief with this type of expertise on stones? You know, these are semi-precious stones in some cases. I mean, not so much the fluorite, but still, even just the raw value of this fluorite is not inexpensive. The quartz, especially some of the quartz crystal skulls, 80, 90 pounds. These are worth many thousands of dollars, just even brand new today, not carved with the surface at all, just a normal crystal skull.
Right. And do you want to? Do you have uh, the lens, the fluorite, available to show the
I got a couple different
right?
ones. I
Just
got a new
tells
one here. I'll show you this. This is pretty ridiculous.
right because that also ridiculously expensive to get those sort of minerals and crystals. Wow, wow. And what's in the center?
It's fluorite.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a
Check it out. Here, I'll put this flashlight behind you real quick. We'll see how many hands I have here.
Why you don't have six hands like the figures in the carvings? Well, I guess not this one. Got
That's
what
right.
looks like Thoth or Ra and Ra there.
It's got a Horus and
Horus.
Anubis, or Ra and Anubis, depending.
And
And
again,
it's got the Boogosphere on the back, as well as carved on the fluorite in the middle, which is interesting. You know, this Booga chip popping up everywhere. Got some
that
crazy
is.
theories about it. We've gotten all these skulls with it on the forehead. You know,
I've
and
seen
without,
some of those. Right, and a
yeah,
couple of them showed up before the Boogosphere and then more being dug up afterwards. And it's the potential of, was the Boogosphere like sent? Is this drone either activated or sent now that all of these other artifacts are being dug up potentially?
yeah. Yeah, it's weird. You know, back in January, start to finish dig video of the Booga chip on a Booga sphere, a big mosaic sphere that weighs 65 pounds that came out of the ground in Abuelos de Jalisco. And at the time, people are just like, oh, it looks like a computer chip. Cool. You know, nobody really made a big deal about it. My buddy got it down in California, and after the Boogosphere came out, he reached out to me and he's like, hey, man, I finally went to my mom's and got my phone. I'd gotten a new phone and the pictures and stuff were on my old one from WhatsApp and I had to go download them. And he's like, but that Boogosphere he sent me dig videos and everything. And they were back in January and the Boogosphere came down in March, which is crazy. Right now, I've documented a bunch of spheres and different things that looked similar to the Boogosphere on our pieces for years, for 5 years, and even the things that Nassim Harriman and Klaus Dona presented back, 10, 15 years ago, also had spheres very predominantly, but not with the chipset design or anything like that. What's really crazy is after the Booga crashed, the spike in Booga items just went through the roof. Made me think, boy, these guys, how the heck are they doing this? Like this just doesn't seem right. And a lot of the guys, they use GPR to find places to dig, and then they go at it. Well, a lot of the guys too, they're not very wealthy and they don't have GPRs, and they'll go out, with a buddy, and they'll use pendulum. And there's oral techniques of how to use these pendulum to find these pieces. And as you
Right?
saw, that there's electromagnetic frequencies, there is a potential that these things could be being found that way. Well, what's affecting that electromagnetic frequency might have something to do with this chip. And so this chip is being depicted being held up by this six-armed being. And I found a coin from the 6th century AD. It's a Gnostic coin on, I believe it's garnet, and it shows this six-armed figure almost identical, and it's known as the Sophia. And there's this book,
Really?
it's a lost book for thousands of years. No one had really any record of it until the late 1800s. In the Nag Hammadi area it was found, and it wasn't translated to English until the 70s. Um, but this book is extremely relevant with what we're finding. And so this Sophia character is holding up this disc, and it looks just like the Bogosphere. And so we think that because she's the one that created the demiurge, and there was something in the Gnostic text called the seal of the demiurge, or the mark of the demiurge, rather. And so the mark of the demiurge, mark of the beast, could it be that this is the mark of the beast and that these items are depicting that? And that's why it's so old. And it's ancient technology from a time where these gods came and manipulated species or whatever, and they had this type of technology. I don't know. It could be something that the Ajiji made as well. But the fact that we see Sophia holding it up is really alarming to me at the minimum, because of her relation with the demiurge and what kind of amounts of depictions of Saturn that we see. I mean, Saturn is depicted on these items all over the place. And these beings are trunked beings, and they sound much like the ones that are depicted in the Hindu texts and things of that nature. So this era may be the same thing that's being documented there in the Mahabharata and stuff.
Absolutely. And that in Egypt, there's always one that is defaced. And is that what's missing out of it? Because you have all the exact same archetype characters except for that one, but you have a defaced one. And I suspect that's why, and that's what it is.
Yeah, there's something in the history that they wanted to deface the noses, and also the female, with the persecution of Nefertiti and the um, not having her body and whatnot. I think there's definitely, after her, there was something happened. It was believed that she had like equal power as a pharaoh or something of that nature, and that's kind of where in Egypt the feminine side took a dip. And you look at the feminine branch of pretty much every religion, and there's a lesser or an unequal pairing to male in many different religious ceremonial activities,
Yeah,
and that.
a lot say that in ancient Kemet, the precursor to Egypt, that the pharaohs were female, and that it was inversed and covered up.
Yeah, yeah, and that would make a lot of sense, especially with this with Hathor and her falling into Sekhmet. Um, that process is really, I think, relevant to this as well. Same thing with Tiamat in the she lost her husband essentially, and supposedly he was killed by so and so. But regardless, she flipped out and raised up this whole reptilian army. Which definitely fits right in with what we're seeing, even down to our scaly skin.
Right, and that we do have the reptilian part of the brain, they say. Um, so Tiamat, who is Tiamat in ancient history? As I've always heard Tiamat referred to as the planet that
Right.
was blown up.
Yeah. Well, she was one of the main planets. She was part of the Trinity, right? She's the mother of heaven, or the queen of heaven, however you want to look at her. Um, but in the
Okay,
Trinity,
Queen of
we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or the Holy Spirit. It's Holy Ghost or Spirit because she fell from heaven and was no longer part of the Trinity. She started her own. Essentially, she created her own Godhead, to mimic the Creator, or the she was very fascinated by the Godhead, and she was young and naive, and so she tried to create her own without permission, and essentially created the demiurge, which is Saturn. And that's what it actually ended up. Her own creation trapped her in time, and when it says that she fell into time and was trapped in the material world. I believe that's why we have all these different divine reproductive goddesses in all these different, because each one's a different timeline and a story of her being trapped in to that timeline. And that's why all these stories revolve around her, even though they're trying to get her out of there. And that's what pagan, the abolishment of pagan belief is believing in other gods, which it was her and her creations, the Anunnaki or the Archons, whatever you want to call them. She's the one that created all of them and gave life to this material world by creating the demiurge.
Ooh, one interpretation could be that, like, if Tiamat was the planet, this bigger planet that they originated from, that then got destroyed somehow as the asteroid belt, that she created them on Earth, essentially, if she blew up, the planet blew up, and then they all emigrated or fled here as the surviving habitable land, maybe.
Yeah. It could very well be, Marduk is the one who slices Tiamat in half and
Right,
creates the heavens and the
Marduk's the
earth.
other name that I've heard of, that, it's either Tiamat or Marduk, often referred to as the planet that blew up as the asteroid belt. So
And Marduk is
that's
named in the Bible, I believe, by name, Marduk. They also talk about Bel and the many different names of this type of thing. The bull worship, the bull horns in Egypt. They all have that disc with the horns that hold it in center. Those are bull horns, same as the Viking, the barbarians. Bull horns were customary by all these different cultures that worshipped her. She was Hathor the bull, the emissary of Ra. She was actually the
fast.
eye of Ra in Egypt.
Hmm. If it was so big and it was the closest planet to us, if it was the original fourth planet there, as a lot of theories say Mars was a moon of it, that it would appear
Interesting.
that large in the sky, right? That it, compared to, say, Jupiter, Saturn, that are so small, even though they're large because they're so far away, maybe this Tiamat Marduk would have appeared the size of the moon, or maybe in between or something, right? But
What's funny
this
is we have
big.
this tablet, and this tablet shows this advanced civilization looking up into the stars, and it shows clearly Saturn here with the rings on it, and then another planet that's smaller with two rings that looks kind of like Saturn. And I've never seen this before, but it's very interesting because of the advanced civilization that's being depicted on the piece. It may be an actual depiction of what Tiamat looked like before it was cleaved, or what their perspective was. And yeah, they may have been the Ajiji. That's why we don't have the evidence of that, and the depictions that we find may be in memoriscence, or kind of like how we have mythology fiction books or whatever. They might have been depicting something that happened before on these tablets as well.
That's fascinating, and it would make sense. Like, what are stone tablets? They're the recording of events. They're the
They didn't
history.
have the
They're
internet, you know.
or if they did, well, it's digital and it got fried, and that's why
Yeah.
it's left over. And
Maybe it might be all stored on these crystal skulls too. You know, there is a lot of
exactly
Atlantis theories there, and I mean, I
right.
haven't gotten any confirmation.
Quantum computer, quantum information would be stored in crystals as light, or even today we have the solid hard drives made of gold, just information imprinted on it, and you have these golden tablets, and it really then brings up the question of what look like these computer chip style processor things on the Boogosphere on the back of that one artifact you showed there. And were those remnants, or will they be able to be connected into future working quantum computers through AI, or properly read if we figure out the technology and that's
Yeah,
actually what they are?
yeah, yeah. That's the crazy part, is what's next for the Boogosphere, and how do we understand it without being invasive, right?
Exactly.
Trying to
While we
read these
have you,
chats there.
do you mind showing a couple of the crystal skulls that you have? If you have like the flutes and like the
Oh, I,
musical
I
ones.
just want to respond to this Feisty real quick. He's talking about Saturn symbols in Salt Lake at the LDS temple. You know, it's very interesting. The Mormons found Egyptian tablets here when they came, supposedly, or Joseph Smith did, and was able to translate it with a monocle. And crazy enough, we found Egyptian tablets. They weren't made of gold, but we found them of tumbaga and different materials, and definitely there's been monocles found as well. So the fact that there would be Saturn symbols there, that's really interesting. The Grand Canyon, likely, we've talked about that before. It could have very well been something to do with Egypt, and maybe Egypt was after that, and Egypt was here first. Chem was here, and that was part of Chem. Mexico was part of Chem. Who knows? But I think that I would really love to see that. Is there any pictures of that, or is that something you have to be, you know, Mormon and go into the
Right.
temple and see? Or yeah, I would love to know more if you could ever reach out. That would be amazing.
That's fascinating. I would suspect it's probably in the inner temple and something they hide, and it's like they don't allow pictures in there. But hopefully not.
It's
Hopefully there's images.
there's definitely they definitely conceal things, and that was always kind of suspicious to me back when I first heard about it. But now I definitely can understand probably why, in terms of the suppression on this topic, and if it's connected to that.
Right. Exactly. Any any evidence that can now easily be identified, showing that hey, how did you know about Saturn pre-Saturn, or how did you know about this pre uh, Spanish, or pre
Yeah.
anything, like just all the prehistory information that
Look at the
is
Dogon.
encoded.
They knew
Yeah,
about
exactly.
Sirius B in the orbit, elliptical
Mm.
orbit, exact
And the
down to the
binary.
days, um, back at
Oh,
3400 BC.
it's on the exterior,
Oh, oh,
carved
oh,
on the
oh.
stone.
Okay, I gotta look into this.
Fascinating. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, Mormon stuff's super fascinating to me. I'm not Mormon, but I love talking to missionaries and testing their knowledge about history because yeah, it's I
Me
don't know, there's
too.
things about it that rub me the right way in some ways, like Michael being Jesus and carrying that lineage in heaven. You know, it says that he came down somehow, and this would make this having this different persona would make a lot of sense to me, um, just in terms of what we see and this battle between Satan and Michael being these dragons. Actually, we see these epic battles of these dragons, and it could be like the feathered serpent is Michael in this case. You know.
That's interesting. That's fascinating. Very fascinating. And yeah, I'm the same when it comes to like the Mormon history and just that there's a lot of encoded information and they're good people, right? And it's fascinating and I love discussing it for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I keep an open mind at this point. Well, I saw the Book of Mormon, and I'm a big South Park fan. So, you know, I was
Right?
watching
Like
Orgasmo in high school and just laughing. You know, like this was
right,
classic humor to me. Eh,
dum.
But
Right? It like
full
just
circle,
puts it,
yeah. Full circle's real, and it's beautiful. I think there's something to be learned with every religion out there at this point. I believe after reading as much as I have that there's valuable wisdom in every book, and anyone that dismisses one of those because it's not completely what they agree with is missing out on a lot of opportunity. I worked with this pastor a couple few weeks ago. We spent like 7 hours on the phone, and he had never heard of the Pistis Sophia, and it's not uncommon. But I told him that it was a Gnostic text, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to read that." He's like, "We don't do that." In pastor school, they told me don't ever read Gnostic texts. It's just there to cloud your vision or whatever, you know. And so it's very interesting. I had no idea. I already read the book, so for me to hear that and see that perception. Um, it's almost like corruption from within in terms of suppressing this truth for whatever purpose, you know.
it's like, oh, they're a lot of times they're taught it's like it's demonic, this and that, and it's like
Yeah,
you
that's what
have
he
to
said. It
just
was Satan
keep the
worship.
open
Yeah,
mind and take the best.
yeah. The Pistis
Hmm.
Sophia is Jesus's
I
teachings, his disciples. So it's like, how, as a follower of Jesus, and there's this whole other book that is validated antiquity of his teachings. You wouldn't want to use discernment and look through that at least. I mean, this is coming from the man from multiple accounts. Like this is it's what's interesting too is with this language of light that these people or these figures were able to speak. It's not dualistic. That's one thing in the Old Testament that was really suspicious to me was there was points of it talking about God or capital Lord that were very dualistic, you know, like something that we would say, you know. Didn't make
right
sense
and
in terms of the pure light of the Ein Sof that it talks about in other texts, and the ineffable and things of this nature. It just was very contradicting how it manifested in the Old Testament. And knowing if this is true, that the Old Testament could have been heavily skewed in some areas in translation, just like the Elohim. Maybe it's something just as simple as the Elohim being translated to Lord, but that one thing right there is pretty major if it comes down to these beings are the Elohim that we're dealing with here.
right and are they the shining ones as I love that theory with your artifacts.
Yeah,
That makes sense to why they glow.
nice, Daniel. I just saw you read that from JJ. That's the ticket right there. Yeah, JJ's really been a huge foundation to this whole thing. Like what he wrote in 1973 is I mean, it's impossible, like for me to think that he would just conceive this as a fictional source of knowledge. Like again, we go to that same thing. It's almost biblical, where it's so non-dualistic and so pure of teaching that it's like
How could it be? Yeah,
humans don't write that way, you know.
agreed.
Yeah, we're just not perfect, which is great. I love that. You know, it makes a good movie, but dang, when it comes down to some of these texts, it absolutely feels that they were written differently for sure.
And it kind of goes to verify the creation legend of how it's channeled, and that it's directly channeled from God, from source consciousness. And
Yeah,
every human, I believe, has the ability to be able to make that connection. You just have to be at peace with yourself, the universe, and God, right? And reach the stillness within to be able to do so.
yeah, yep. Unconditional love. That means faith, truly believing. You know, I think that's the threshold that we have to overcome, and it's really tough. It's one thing to go to church and brush your teeth before bed, but did you floss? You know,
Right?
yeah.
Don't
Did you
floss.
really
Gum
buy in?
disease
You
is going
know,
to take it all. While we have you, do you mind if you have them available showing some of the crystal skulls, as well as like the ones that are like carved out that are like flutes, and
oh yeah, yeah. Let me
going
play this.
over,
I got it right here. This one's
because
always.
like this is amazing. Just the craftsmanship,
So this is
technology,
probably
and
a geopolymer. You know, it's a very interesting type of stone. The way it's, I mean, to make a hollow out of a rock like this would be real time consuming, especially to get it into the tuning in which it is. Even if it was a geopolymer, how they did this is still,
right, like you'd
I
have
really
to
don't
maybe
know.
like
I
take a
mean,
3D modeling of it to then print the mold to then put it in. I don't know. It's just such a perfect sound. It's
it is pretty ridiculous for a skull. Definitely never seen nothing like that before.
so wild,
Let's see. I think there was.
right? Because you have
I've
a
got.
few of them too, and
I know. I've
uh,
I've been moving stuff around because I got so many pieces this year. They made all these discoveries, and things just went crazy. So yeah, a lot of them are in secure places, and I don't. I'm trying to build a museum and get that going so I can have
reasonable.
everything. But this one I can't play. I'm trying to show up in here. You can see there's a little slit right there by my finger that literally goes over this, and you could put a like a wood reed in there and probably play this. I would imagine with beautiful sound,
Oh,
but for it's nothing without it. So
I see what you're saying.
yeah,
Needs the
it's
vibration.
authentic for sure. The fact that they would have that there, and definitely means that they were trying to harness music out of it. It wasn't just a novelty. Like they took it to that level of requiring a reed.
And yeah, engineering it. Do you happen? Ooh, another one.
This is a telescope
Some
here, a
telescopes.
bronze one. Been probably about 7 or 8 of these bronze ones found. This one's actually part of a larger piece. I'll show you here if my phone will work. Um, there's this one dead spot in my room, so hopefully it'll be okay. But you can see this large boat, and
Oh
inside of the
yeah,
box right there, there's it's for both the telescopes.
that's wild. And then you also have a few fluorite ones, but you may have moved them out.
Fluorite telescopes. Well, I got yeah, that one is down in Texas, and
That's
this
your
guy
polymer
here has a fluorite lens as well.
lens.
Yep.
Just wild stuff. Do you still
You can
have
see,
the?
you know, this is a scale, and then it has a magnetic thing here, like, and it's strong too. Like you can see it fighting me here.
Wow.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So it's. I'm sorry. There we go. You can see it hanging sideways. But I don't
That's
know if it's for
cool.
prediction or what. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense, you know.
That's freaking fascinating.
Most of these pieces, these two are from Tula, but these are all from Guerrero, including these bones.
Just wild.
A lot of bone stuff from there. Oh, this is a whistle here. It's got a guy driving looks like a
Freaking
spaceship,
spaceship.
but then you can see the holes are there for a whistle. I'm not gonna play it, but you saw it at least. This is
Do
a
you
big
still?
slab of obsidian and probably 2 inches thick. It's really sharp to move it, so I'm going to leave it there. But
That one reminds me of the Michigan tablets from the late 1800s, and that were all
yes.
made on obsidian. What? Gold flake.
Yeah, gold leaf. Yeah, it's even got it down inside of there on that eye. It's all carved on the inside as well. Solid calcite, and then the bottom of it's a ridiculous drawing.
Solid calcite.
Yeah, well,
And
not
it's
solid. It's hollow. I mean, yeah, my bad.
well, yeah, like, but it's calcite and it's been
Yeah,
carved out, and just that's insane.
yeah. Yeah, a lot of these are crystal or calcite. I mean, massive
Wow,
vessels. This thing weighs like 60 pounds.
that's just wild. What?
Yeah. A lot of horned beings. You see that being there with the horns, right? So there was these skulls that all came out. You remember the skulls and how some experts were saying it was
Yep,
kind of like a bovine, right?
yep.
Or kind of like a cow, rather. And well, it very, very well could be like a cow. It does have, the places for the horns. Sorry. And you look at the positioning of this stuff. I mean, it's definitely possible that it could be something of that type of race. I don't know. Or they were just really into the cow because of this. They might have been creating hybrids of cows. It's really hard to say. Yeah.
That's wild.
Just like Egypt, though, with the Serapeum or Serapium, that all the mummified cows that they found there. There's something with the cow, that's for sure. And then now we eat the cow. Like, was that punishment to her? You know?
Or sacrilege, and is it why they're
Well,
still
and the
considering
pig's
it
not
wicked? Yeah.
like in Jewish, and I don't know. It's just interesting the meat and how that all pans out with halal and different types of you know food approvals or whatever. Obviously, it made its way into religion somewhere, and that's I guess the weird thing.
Yeah, and were we originally all vegetarian or didn't need to eat at all? Energy beings potentially? I'm not sure, but it is very, very interesting how in different parts of the world it's a different animal, but there's always one animal revered that shouldn't be eaten.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
The
It's,
magnetic properties are wild.
yeah.
And it makes sense, right? Energy around it, that dowsing rods, and
Yep.
to be able to find them and attract it. It's the old school way.
This thing's magnetic too. You can get it to sit on there just right and it'll float. Super tricky though.
And the star charts, like just like in Babylon and Samaria, it was clearly a worldwide civilization, and for whatever reason, they've been erasing the history, covering it up, and lying to us on all levels.
Yeah, that's really one of the oops, sorry. That's one of the biggest mysteries I think for sure is why the disclosure. And maybe the demiurge had a period of time to still rule. There was rules involved, and it talks about the oath that they made against God, and all of these things in the book of Enoch, where they were the watchers. And then in the Pistis Sophia, it says that they would be forced to look to the left for a period of time and then forced to look to the right as Jesus took 1/3 of their power. And, I thought that was really a bizarre thing. Like, why 1/3? Like if you're going to go down there, why not take them out? If you're the one all be all, that was always kind of something as a kid. It just didn't make sense to me. It rubbed me kind of wrong. But now understanding how important balance is here in order to earn wisdom and to gain, there has to be darkness before light can overcome, right? So uh, it's really beautiful, and the balance that we have, all the Goldilocks zones, the bees, everything's kind of set here up for us, and and that would make a lot of sense why, um, and why it seems like it's just so hard to get ahead. Even if you have all the money in the world, happiness doesn't come easy. It's something that has to be earned.
Absolutely, always, right? And that there's always a spiritual side to reality, and that the system of the Western world tries to erase that and make it all just about the physicality and disconnect you from your higher self and your spiritual side. And well,
That's the
that's how you're
demiurge.
easily misled. Or
Yeah. That's those seven serpents or the seven menorah head of the Jewish menorah. I believe that's the seven archons or the seven sins that were created by the demiurge to keep us here by sinning. And the sinning was to make us infidel to God in different ways. And that's why we have all these temptations and why there's seven chakra points or seven seals that have to be unlocked in order to achieve enlightenment or ascend. I think that's exactly what breaking through those seals is overcoming those sins that were put there. And like you said, the West tries to push all of this. Essentially, I mean, you even look at marriage, and you look at where the marriage with the ring came from, and it's in Egypt and the other places where they worship Saturn, and the ring of Saturn, the oath, and the contracts. Anybody that signs a contract, it seems like that they're not signing it just to the company or whatever to protect this or that. It seems as if it's deeper on a spiritual level. You know, marriage is the leading cause of divorce. That could very well be in relation. Why? I mean, it might be something of a that you know becoming one with your partner is absolutely a beautiful thing, but dividing assets and bringing money into the wagon is a very ugly thing in many cases. And again, the money is the root of all evil. The greed and the gluttony and all the different sins that really go into this. um yeah, oh yeah, I know, Sean. Yeah.
I
No,
brought up
it's
there the thank you for the link for the Salt Lake Temple. I
Oh, cool.
wasn't showing a picture, but did document saying that Saturn's early drawings and written descriptions showed Saturn stones along the top tier of the temple.
Wow. Yeah, that's super interesting. The
It is.
Saturn is deep into so many different things. It was deep with the Nazis. It's deep with the Jewish religion, and celebrating it
Well,
on Saturday rather than Sunday, and the black cube that the Muslims go around the Kaaba. Lots of things that definitely have relation to Saturn throughout our everywhere.
exactly. And I myself was amazed when, with my clothing company and artwork that I did, I would always get different, very talented artists to do different pieces for me. And that there was the most talented, coincidentally or not, had high cases of schizophrenia, and that their pieces would always have both a crescent moon and a Saturn in it when I would ask for like anything with aliens or with the sky or
Yep.
something from
Yep.
Mars or
Go
whatnot, and
figure.
they'd always have it in.
Go figure. Yeah, we find that same concept here too with the crescent moon, and the crescent moon is directly related to her. Um,
And, sorry, I have to point out the third planet would be a second planet with two rings, like you mentioned earlier, as well in it.
what?
I am not kidding you. For our next episode, I'll get some of the paintings and drawings with it for you.
Yes, we got to check that out. That's insane. Wow, really cool.
Right? And like this was years ago, like 10, 15, almost 20. Yeah, some of them were even 20 years old. And it was just like they would always do it. And
If you got the website hooked up there, type in Chat GPT logo conspiracy, and there'll be a YouTube video that shows the Chat GPT logo inversed. And so if you look at the top AI programs like ChatGPT, Grok, Claude. Claude is the symbol for Anu, which is the thorned crown, or the horned crown, I'm sorry, which is really interesting, again with the bull horns and the horned crown, but it's also the symbol for Anu, the most high of the Anunnaki. And if you look at Grok's symbol, it's the planet Saturn. So to see this, what I'm telling you to pull up here with GPT, it absolutely.
which one?
I think it's the very top one. I'll go back up there.
This one.
Uh, no, go down. It might be that one up. Yeah, the effects of flipping the GPT logo. There it is. Sorry, I use Safari, so it's different.
I regret not. Well, I don't know. Maybe Apple's good. I think I might have to try. Having issues
For this
with
type of
Google.
stuff, it's super. But essentially, you just put an inverse on there, and it creates the
Oh, wow. Hey?
which it looks like the Star of David when you line it up just right. With
Yeah.
the seal, but there's also a seal of
Speed of life in it almost, too.
that too. But if you look up this, and this is funny, I'll get back to this. But the seal of Saturn, if you look it up, it has an inverse of the pentagram. And if you look up the Venus star in the sky and the path that it follows over the procession, it creates that symbol.
Maybe this one?
I don't know, just like Venus, pattern of Venus in the
I know
sky or
exactly what you're
whatever.
talking about.
It
Yeah.
creates like
The
yeah. And there's actually quite a bit of this symbology with the star movements, like the Big Dipper and the North Star create the swastika as well in their movements.
Yep. Oh, this one's sigils. My bad. Yeah, the geometry
Yeah,
of it, it's pretty wild.
it really
And
is.
yeah,
Yeah, the Venus and Saturn connection, I believe, is the demiurge in Sophia, and um, that's why the Mayans were so focused on Venus. And T call was complete. I think it's T. No, T call was for music. There was maybe that is where it is. One of the locations there in Guatemala, they've got a whole entire site that's like dedicated to tracking Venus.
no, stupid Google. Not giving me what we're looking for.
Yeah, they're working against us for sure. Yeah.
Right. What are your
Oh yeah,
thoughts?
yeah. That's a great point too. He just said the Saturn's atmosphere. And that's, if you look at that, that's a hex. You know, it's in the shape of a hexagram. So how do you get storms to create a hexagram first off? But then
Yeah,
if you
that's on the
look at
poles. Yeah,
what's inside of that star, you have a hexagram inside of the Star of David
right.
or Star of
And
Remfram or whatever. You know, yeah.
and that Saturn's the sixth planet from the sun, and that it's a hexagram. Pretty freaking wild. Like,
There's two of the three of the false trinity of 666. Yeah, that number is really peculiar in terms of this existence and how that formulates out of why that number is in existence, or why it's
uh,
the number of the beast, I should say. He is the demiurge is the beast, likely, which is Tiamat's direct creation. I don't know if it's directly tied to her or how that works, and how it entrapped her, but they're definitely using each other, I think, in different periods of time.
right, like the moon to Saturn, and is it like the soul trap or like the entry exit out of our realm? I don't know, but like there's got to be something to it. It seems.
Yeah. Well, it could have been the sun. It could be the construct that keeps us entrapped here. That could be what creates time. I mean, in the Greek, Saturn's the god of time. So that storm could be creating magnetic fields that give us time. It could give us our linear time by the motion and the creation of it. I don't fully understand, but I definitely think that storm is something that could be manufactured as a construct. How fast it blows, how it's larger than our Earth specifically. Um,
Right. And yeah,
that's
someone in comment talking about the ring makers of Saturn. Also famous, the UFOs that some NASA scientist was documenting and wrote the book called The Ring Makers of Saturn, and that there
oh,
was these long cylinder craft that they've documented going around in uh, in Saturn's rings that he claimed was making them. Quite
interesting.
fascinating.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts on Three Eye Atlas as we approach? Well, it approaches. It's in next to Mars, I guess, right now or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up Kin Panama on this one too, just because I think it's got the whole preemptive strike of a blue beam situation. It definitely could be. They're going to use that and this to try to create this false, because you look at the Kin Panama thing, which if you're not familiar with, it's like a asteroid that came down that this guy documented, and then on the asteroid this black thing grew out of it, and over a couple weeks grew to pretty massive size. um, it's been a whole dramatic thing though. His filming of it is very poor quality. It's limited. He has gone live with it though, and there are things
I want
about
to
it
see that one.
that's somewhat accurate. But I think that this could be connected, very well possibly. I don't know if it's a ship or not, but the way it's coming in here is definitely odd.
It's
And I
so
think
weird
I
and
think this was
freaky.
AI here. He posted
Yeah.
that on his story. That's a legitimate one that he supposedly took it and dumped it off in this area. And what's interesting is this area was found based off people who were able to look it up and find it. People went there, but this national park released a public statement about this. Said that he went into a restricted area and dumped off what he claims to be this being. Well, then it says down below in the bottom of the letter that it's completely false and not true. But they admit that he dumped something off there and went in there for whatever purpose, and they don't have any science whatsoever of how they proved it to be false. So I just don't even understand. But yeah, there's all these splices and things that he's
Right.
created from this. And
Most recently, he was like freezing some of them in water in bags, and now apparently he's in the
well, he took
U.S.
them
or
on an
something.
airplane to the
Yeah.
United States, supposedly to the Center of Disease Control in Atlanta for an interview. So what I wanted to write off as a hoax, yeah, it could be preemptive stuff from Three Eye Atlas. That's why I bring it up. I mean, the timing here and how it's coming to fruition, the things that the guy said and done. That's a meme, obviously, but you know, we're gonna find out real soon. The government shut down and
Exactly.
not having NASA. They're furloughing like 14,000 people or something, and um, I just don't know. I don't know
It's
if it's a good
strange,
thing or a bad
strange
thing, but
days.
I know which page I'm on, and if it does start to happen that way, I feel it's probably a big hoax. You know, Jeremy Corbell said it was coming that way, and you know why put yourself out there um, when you don't need to in that situation? You know?
It's so weird. Only time will tell.
Yeah,
Only
yeah.
time will
We're
tell.
definitely gonna find out on this one. I'm sure it's the weird thing is he's got so many cycles of growth. He's got interesting movements, which could definitely be animatronic or whatever, you know, inside of a
Right?
Furby or something. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I asked AI about it 40 or 50 different times, you know, from each different cycle, you know, what could this be, etc. And it never said once it was AI. Um, I don't know.
Right. So if this one's a hoax, Kin is definitely putting a lot of money and time into it.
Props
So
to him. He definitely had
yeah.
me thinking, you know, obviously the fact that it's still getting carried on though, and he deleted his account one day, and then came back and felt bad because people were using his name and making money off of it and stuff. And then now all of a sudden he's documenting going to Atlanta. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Right. It's so strange. It's like this point, it seems like it might more likely fraud than not, but
Where's the
it's
science? Like, where's the Panama saying, yeah, we sent a team out there to verify. We've got our Center of Disease Control, and you know, just in
right. Like
case
they should
we
at
went.
least be investigating at this point. Like
That's the biggest red finger is that the lack of on these topics that seem to be being dismissed. But I've done personal research on like the alien carvings, the Nazca mummies, the Boogosphere, definitely real shit. At what point are they just ignoring this stuff? And so this thing getting ignored is just like a big, yeah, it makes me think, you know?
with Mike. Sorry, just got a call from Johnny. One moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Red handed for sure, Rogue. It's, I don't know. We're learning though. I think keeping eyes on all this is really the best thing to do. The fact we're talking about it here, really important. Not a lot of people are talking about the Ken Panama thing on shows, maybe because people are just they ridicule it. But I think there's again, even if it's a 1% chance that that thing is real, we best be
right? Like
We should be looking at it, you know.
1% even at like a fraction of a percent, it's like they should go out and take a sample or whatever, or like,
At least give us a warning that they're
yeah,
looking into it, maybe. Yeah, we're gonna check on it, like something, you know. Instead, it's just this letter from the parks department, which is private, and they could be completely unoblivious. There's no science published, so it's just, yeah, trust us. We're this parks department, you know. I don't know. Feels like a cover up for sure.
it's a strange one, and only
Yeah,
time will tell. Very entertaining either way. Like
yeah,
scares the bejesus out of me if it is real, but it's like
yeah,
I'm going with the we're just gonna ignore it a little bit for now, keep an eye on it,
yeah.
and not stress until well, either kin has turned into venom or it's debunked fully. I don't know, but
Yeah.
interesting. He's in America, and
Didn't expect
yeah,
that. I, I mean, can you do? I don't know if it's like Mexico, but I don't think you can just go take a flight to Atlanta and hang out
yeah,
without.
right. Like how would
Like
you
you got to
get
have
through?
permission, right?
You have to declare anything biological, and clearly
That
that
too.
thing would be biological. So I
Yeah.
don't see how he would get through customs with it unless he goes through the X-ray machine and they see that it's got like
It,
mechanics and battery in it. I don't
it
know.
was completely packed in mylar and whatnot, which mylar is really hard for gamma and X-ray to see through. So it is potential that that they were able to get through it. I mean, I don't know. I've taken used canopic jars through security, and they were, yeah, cool. You know, they're looking for bombs and stuff. They're not looking for biologics, really. I think is plausible. And if he had permission from the CDC, once he got to America, he probably just had to talk to somebody or something. I mean, they probably knew he was coming.
Right? But that's like, you'd think the CDC would want a sample of it or make a
They would go down
statement.
and get it themselves in a vac sealed something. And yeah, I know, right? I mean, but maybe it was just an interview. Maybe he didn't have a sample. It doesn't show the sample in any of his videos in America that I saw. So I haven't checked today. I figured I'd do a video on it in the next couple days as things progress, and just to kind of, I haven't touched it. Like you said, I'm just kind of hanging back here, going like this, you know.
Right? Just observe from afar. We'll see. You definitely helped him get exposure at the beginning, and it's. Have you been able to talk to him directly, or have you tried, or?
Yeah, I've tried for sure. A good buddy of mine says that he talked with him and was going to get one of the samples, but haven't heard anything from him since on the topic.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's interesting. He's very selective, which is also suspect of who he talks to, who
super
the show
suspect.
he'll go on, and then like everyone else that he'll ignore. So it's like that's kind of a strike against, where it's like he's ignoring the serious investigators, and like you helped him out even, and then he wouldn't even respond to you. But it's like if he looked into you, he'd see you're doing actual real tests and stuff like that
Yeah,
might scare him away if it wasn't real. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. And I would say he helped me more than I helped him. His topic was so viral and so irate that, I mean, it definitely brought us a lot of people to see our content as well. So I mean, it was definitely a
Mutual win,
mutual thing,
symbiotic.
you know. I definitely don't try to post a bunch of stuff, but at the same point, like the Boogosphere and the Nazca mummies, my gut told me that this is definitely something to look into. And I mean, scaringly
Yeah,
enough, it's kind of doing the same with this, and I'm just like, you know,
it's like
I
only
don't know.
time will tell, and your artifacts have been standing up to the test of time. That's the key part of it, and that
Yeah.
from the origins, like I first saw them in 2012, I think, or 2011, when Nassim and Klaus brought light to them there,
Yeah.
and that they're consistent. Like I think
Looks like the
that that's
same
what,
artist.
yeah, exactly, absolutely the same, and whatever like this language is like it's similar, but it looks like a devolved one from the original Alien style a
Yeah.
bit.
It's a lot of geometry involved from Abuelos. You can see the spheres there. This is one of the pieces that had the, it's got the planet up there. Maybe it's a moon, but there's another smaller sphere above the guy's head. Oftentimes we see multiple spheres floating around. Are they just outside at nighttime? I don't know. It could be, moonlight type uh, ceremonies or whatever, but
The car,
I don't
like
know.
I just can't get enough of the symbols. Like it's alchemy and alien simultaneously.
Yeah.
Right, so these are some of the original older ones, and then you've gotten pretty close, pretty similar ones to these, correct?
Oh,
With like this
absolutely.
red mixture, and also
Yep.
with these same inscriptions. Um,
Yeah.
to finish it off, maybe do you want to show us a few of the ones that have these crazy alien-like runes on them?
Yeah, let me grab one here. I can actually bring this over. This seems pretty cool. Oops.
Right, just it's so wild.
Yeah, let me grab.
It's like proto alchemy symbols, which just I find so fascinating.
So like this one's really interesting. It's actually got alchemical symbols on it. You can see the mercury and the sulfur,
Yeah,
the feathers being shot up by arrow or something there. I don't know. It's very interesting with the
that
keyhole.
one is that actually looks like an alchemical process or something.
Yeah. And then on the
And the
back, it's got
footstone,
the bird guy, which I think this is the feathered serpent, like you can see the scales on his neck and things. This could be the feathered serpent in a humanoid form. We know he took
right?
different forms.
As an alchemist, I naturally have to kind of lean with a bias that is Thoth, because Thoth also was bird-headed
Well, he
architect.
was an
Right.
ibis, and this guy comes from the Sumerian, and I mean, it's I guess there is a plausibility, but I don't think so.
Very interesting at in the above the nose there between the eyes, it almost looks circuitry ish towards Boogosphere ish style.
There's Three Eye Atlas there, see, and there's a
Right?
Boogosphere down there.
Wow. When did you
And
get
this
that
piece,
piece?
I documented this piece back from Jorge Leon before he passed away, or actually it was right after he passed away. So it was right when COVID hit, probably 2021, 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, it's one of
That's
my oldest Abuelos pieces. I won't sell it because it's got sentimental value.
that's amazing. I definitely need to get me one of those. And there's a
You need to go
couple.
down there, man. Spend a week. I just sent my good friend that showed me these pieces. Well, he went to Mexico, but I connected him with the people that do the digging in Tula and some close friends over there. And I explained to him that, hey, my buddy's coming down there for a trip, and he would like to maybe see some of this stuff, maybe the petroglyphs or whatever. And you know, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't know me and you wouldn't know any of the people I've brought into this, and we wouldn't have any of this. Like literally, it was him that turned me on to this, and that bet me the money that this was real. And so they took him on the most grand adventure. I mean, it was insane. I was pretty jealous. He dug a massive crystal skull out of the ground. I mean, and he went on his own accord. It's all documented. Um, it's super great. He found they took him underneath the pyramids and into the sites at nighttime and allowed him to really examine the polymers and how these things were put together, and gonna have some really cool content coming on that really soon. I mean, it's definitely things like the Star of Inanna that are pictured right there on the temple, massive, huge relief in Mexico. So at the Temple of
I
Venus, you know.
definitely, well, the next time I go to Mexico, and it's on my to-do list once I get me some money, is go down there. I will definitely go explore and ask for those connections and go on that tour, because that sounds beyond amazing. Like going under pyramids anywhere is on my bucket list and should be on everyone's, really. Like, is there anything better than them? I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, I saw the guy's message that claimed that it was all buried, you know, last year, and that they're dumping this stuff in the ground. And I said this earlier, but I'm just going to extend the offer to him is take some pictures of all these pieces, do the math of how many pieces have been documented, and then ask AI how long it would take to make those pieces, and you'll find yourself that these were not buried. Just in the six discoveries this year, with all those pieces, there's zero chance of what you're saying is true.
And they keep showing more and more evidence of it, more and more filming, more and more documenting of it, and the testings that you do. Like, it's very, very hard to
Well,
see it
it's
as
just like
that, but
it's like dating the pyramids, though. Like it is hard to argue. It is easy to argue the evidence in lots of cases, right? But in this case, the pudding itself, the amount of pieces that are carved so intricately with so much original art, there is no molding process or fast track to this. This takes man hours. This takes love. This takes artistic ability and so many other things. That the glow and that all these steps, it's just impossible to do it in the amount of time that was given there. I mean, even in a 5-year span, we're way beyond that right now. There would have to be entire towns, and we know the size of the towns here, and there's no way these things are being backpacked across the country and stuff. We have so much evidence of them coming from Tula, you know.
ooh, is this the piece that you showed just earlier on in
Yeah,
the stream? Or
yeah,
yeah,
that's the one. And the skull too, actually. Yeah,
right.
I got the other
There's them
skull
coming out of the
upstairs.
ground,
Yeah.
coming out of the ground.
But no, I definitely I was a complete skeptic for 3 years on this, so I don't mean to sound so you know for sure on that, but I just definitely suggest at least doing the math before making an assumption. You know?
Right, and it's so intriguing. It's so wild. There's so much encoded information, and the processes and how advanced it is. And well, all you can do is keep testing it, right? And keep
Yeah,
adding
and,
more and more real science.
yeah. That's the best part. There's so much more money being poured into this now. It's so beyond me. Like I pretty much let her go by now. I'm just kind of sitting back watching the seed come to fruition at this point.
Exactly. But on that note, we are just under 2 hours, so I'm going to cut it off so lovely AI can cut up a bunch of clips for us, and let's do this all again very soon, my friends.
Do it proper. Have a great night. Great rest of your weekend.
You as well. Thank you.
See you guys.
Much love, everyone.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just BurnEye.
Hey, Bernie, just like last week, huh?